I was shocked by the emails that came out. One, because they were so similar to the style that I put in. You actually couldn't really tell that it's still a little bit AI.
I built this GPT in literally like 10 minutes, and he said that it saved him like 40 hours a week. It was a significant improvement. It was just wild to think that, it took me 10 minutes to do something like that.
And so I was like, you know what, today I'm going to see what Claude is like. And I was pretty shocked by the discovery, to be honest, because
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Life of Leverage podcast with your hosts, Hunter Bohm and Tatsuki Thomas. Today, we're going to be talking about some new discoveries that Tas made in AI, YouTube, and basically how those two things blend together to become an entrepreneur and creator and leave your 9-to-5 and basically everything you could ever want to do in your wildest dreams.
yes, I feel like my journey with AI sort of plateaued a while ago. I feel like with ChatGPT, I tried to use it to write some things and it just wasn't any good. And so the best I got was like some sort of averagey stuff. And then also like a lot of things, like it couldn't do big tasks, right? Like if you throw in a massive transcript, it can't like read through the whole thing and pick out best parts. Like it finds it really hard to do that. And so in the end, I kind of only really used AI for, well, ChatGPT anyway, for mostly just like bouncing ideas, ideating, like seeing if I'm missing anything, coming up with subject lines, little descriptions, all that sort of thing. Now, luckily, my email got hacked. And because my email got hacked, I couldn't access my ChatGPT account anymore. So I was like, I'll see what else is on the market. Then I had a private masterclass with a paid ads guy who uses AI for like so many things. And he's like, I think he's done like 200 million on ad spend. And he loved Claude, pretty much. And there was one other one, I can't remember what it was, but it was like an aggregator for them and it'll tell you which one's the best. But he was obsessed with Claude in general. And so I was like, you know what, today I'm going to see what Claude is like, and I'm going to try the same things that I've been doing with ChatGPT, but with Claude. And I was pretty shocked by the discovery, to be honest, because in general, what I'm doing, I'm writing emails for a client. And so what that means is I do an interview where I ask a bunch of specific questions, and then I turn the transcript of the interview into content. And I often try and it has to be all the content from the interview, but I also try and keep a similar voice so that it sounds a fair bit like the actual person who I'm interviewing, my client.
Right.
And so I basically asked Claude, and I can read out the messages that I asked it. I was like, hey, Claude, my guy, I want you to read a transcript of an interview I conducted and come up with email ideas that use only the content from the transcript. What info can you give me to make sure you do the best job? So initially, I was actually only going to ask for email ideas because this is all I found ChatGPT to be any good at. And for context, I'm on the Pro, and so I clicked Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is their most intelligent model. And
you have the premium subscription version?
Yeah. And so it said, what I need is obviously the transcript, the purpose or the goals of the emails, target audience, any specific themes or topics, the desired length or format, any particular tone or style, the number of emails, and then any specific call to actions. So I gave it all the stuff, and I also said, let me give you 3 emails that I've written already from the transcript, and I want you to copy that style. And honestly, I was shocked by the emails that came out. One, because they were so similar to the style that I put in. But 2, like, you actually couldn't really tell. Like, unless I can only tell, because obviously I've been writing a while and I've asked it to write in a similar style to me in a way, that it's still a little bit AI. But if you just saw this, or if most people saw this, I don't think they'd be able to tell. And so let me just read out a quick one to you. The shocking truth about protein powders. Dear first name, you've probably been told that protein powders are essential for building muscle. Well, I'm here to tell you it's all garbage. As someone who's trained celebrities and worked at Europe's top transformation gym, I can tell you protein powders are just a huge market with no real need. Recently, I even turned down a lucrative deal with EHP Labs because their products are frankly bullshit or BS. Here's what you really need to know. Stick to whole foods, focus on natural nutrition, forget about supplements. The fitness industry is full of people trying to sell you quick fixes and magic powders, but the truth is, your body knows what it needs. Want to know how to truly optimize your nutrition for maximum gains? Reply to this email with your top nutrition question, and I'll give you a straight answer. No BS, no sales pitch. Boom, sign off, name. Another subject line, the sun isn't your enemy, and other fitness myths busted. From party animal to fitness guru, my transformation journey. The real reason you can't build muscle, hint, it's not genetics. Oh, mate, they're actually the Greek god's secret to the perfect physique.
These are
Forget
great
about getting
subject
huge or
lines.
shredded. Want to know the secret to to a truly impressive physique? It's all about proportions. I'm talking about the classic Greek god physique: wide shoulders, narrow waist, perfectly balanced muscles. This isn't about bodybuilding or getting massive. It's about creating an aesthetically pleasing, proportional physique that turns heads. But here's the kicker: most training programs ignore this crucial aspect. They focus on getting you big or lean, but they neglect the importance of balance and symmetry. That's why so many guys end up looking awkward or disproportionate, even after putting in years of hard work. Want to know how to build a physique worthy of a Greek statue? Reply with your current measurements, and I'll give you a personalized advice on what to focus on. Sign off. Like that is a good email.
I think I'm most like obviously like the content of the email, shockingly good. What I'm even more impressed with is how good the subject lines are. You know, like, and I'm wondering if did you provide like in the emails that you gave it as examples, did you provide the subject lines to those as well?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the emails that I put in, it was subject line and then the whole email basically. And so the
So I
subject
know
line that I
you're
put in is how I got actors,
yeah.
models, and celebrities in shape fast. What happens when you get jacked, and why counting calories is a waste of time. So there's a little bit there, but there's not that much to be for it to go like the shocking truth about protein powders, or from party animal to fitness guru, my transformation journey. Like all of those are they're decent subject lines. Like I tweak them a little bit, but the
Yeah.
idea is there. Um, and all
Interesting. I
this,
wonder
yeah, go for it.
you're gonna make me want to do a deep dive on Claude here after this to do some different things that I've been doing with ChatGPT instead now with Claude, like especially since I've been getting more into YouTube creation and like thumbnails and titles and even script writing, that sort of thing. Um, Especially thumbnails, I think it could really help. Because for example, something that I did recently that I think is fun is well since we've started this posting weekly on YouTube for me, it's become kind of addicting to like post YouTube videos. Like it feels like the reward versus investment is much higher than it is on a place like LinkedIn or Twitter or X. Because, and I say this because, like, let's say you write a really great thread, like a banging thread, and it took you, 3 or 4 hours to write. Like, you put a lot of work into it. Even if it blows up, like, let's say it gets 100,000 impressions, it's only going to be relevant for the next 48 hours most likely, and then the algorithm starts to kill it off. But if you make a YouTube video, that could be relevant for years after. Like
Yeah,
that sort of investment in my mind, and considering this podcast is called The Life of Leverage, it just seems more high leveraged. I've been getting really into it. So, um, to go off of that, what I did recently is I've been watching tons of YouTube videos about like how to make the best thumbnails and titles and killer YouTube ideas, all of that sort of stuff as you're diving into a niche, you're just learning as much as you can about it. Something I did with thumbnails is I found this lady's video. I'd have to find her account. She's like a new YouTuber, but she's doing really well. She made this video about creating thumbnails that I thought was really good. It's all about like the psychology of the click versus like the design, and I thought it was really impactful. So what I did is I went online, searched up free um, YouTube video to transcript tool, found a free one, paste the YouTube video transcript in there, or I paste the link to the YouTube video, gives me the transcript. I then take that transcript to my GPT builder, say, hey, here's a transcript of this YouTube video. Like, make a GPT that uses this information. And then I uploaded that transcript to the knowledge base. So now I can essentially talk to this YouTube video about creating
right.
thumbnails, but specifically for me. And I think it's worked really well so far. At least I've tried it out with the most recent video that I made, and comparatively, it's performing the best out of all of them. So that's really good. Um, but since you've brought up Claude, like it really makes me think about how much better it could be. Because you're right. And I've known this for a while, and I feel like anybody who uses AI knows that GPT or ChatGPT is great for strategy, and I mean, even less so in complex tasks now. I mainly use it for strategy. I find it to be really good. But content and human like writing, Claude has always been a little above it. And I feel like they've really taken the step above now if those are the types of emails you're getting.
Yeah. I think it also highlights the need to be the person who's kind of the connector, right? Like almost like, for example, if all you do is email marketing and all, well,
Mm-hmm.
if all you do is just email copywriting, so you don't even do the marketing side, you literally just write the copy for the emails, like you're you're going to be busted out or you're going to be replaced like fairly easily. I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
replaced, but the competition is going to be a lot higher because all of a sudden an email marketer who understands all the different flows to build, like a banner cart, blah, 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 blah. Someone who understands offers and actually not just the writing of emails, but the offers, like someone who understands all these other things, it's going to be able to just churn out emails so much faster using this.
Mm-hmm.
That all they need is the kind of the taste. So I think it definitely does lean to the fact like you want to elevate yourself beyond just doing that one tiny thing. Because it's kind of like the farmer who runs the farm versus the guy who literally just used to push a plow. Like all the people who used to push plows, now you've got tractors in. So ideally, you want to be the one who knows how to use a tractor, or you want to be the guy just organizing the whole farm, managing the people, etc., etc. So I do think that is more important, and that's like why I'm kind of happy. I'm also going into the paid ads world as well because slowly you've got content, you've got paid ads, you've got the offers, you've got the emails, like everything sort of ties together in one system. And I don't think that's something that AI probably can ever really fully take over completely because there's so many moving parts in like disconnected things, right? Like you can get ideas for everything, but to be the thing that just runs and connects it all and like logs into a meta ads account, for example, and sets up all the campaigns with specific targeting and then like sets up ConvertKit and blah blah blah. Like I think that will take a lot longer, a lot harder. It's kind of like you can get things like robots down in the kitchen who do loads of really specific tasks. But if there's something like if like picking up the delivery and bringing it to the back and then like doing XYZ, like all like the connecting parts, like I feel like that takes a lot. Like it's kind of why like self-driving cars are taking so long to materialize, whereas like AI in other areas are a lot easier. And they probably will also with self-driving cars take over because it's still kind of just one job. Um, but like for example, like fixing your plumbing, it's probably not something that AI is ever going to fix because every plumbing job is slightly different, and like every house is a little bit different. And so to come in and then just like be able to change things up, I mean, I maybe one day, like to be fair, maybe in like a few hundred years. But it feels like in the short term in our lifetimes, I would be surprised if that's a thing.
I would be surprised if it's not a thing within the next 5 years.
With plumbers,
There are certain gosh, I wish I could remember the name of the application, but I know that there is a certain type of robot that this company is developing
is it
that
the
is
law?
able to um it can't do anything functional yet, but it's getting to the point where it can take a picture of like your faucet or sink and like here's what's wrong. Here's how to fix it. Eventually
Yeah,
you're going to get the application with like these Tesla robots and everything. And then even to the point about like connecting like an ads manager and ConvertKit. I don't know if like the API of Meta Ads is open. I'm guessing it's not, but if it was, like that is already possible. You can connect ConvertKit and like if the ads manager was open API where everybody could plug into it, which there might be in some regards. That is possible. Right now, it's just super non. If you're not a developer, you can't code. And work with API schemas and JSON. Like, it's going to be really difficult, and that's why you're not seeing a lot of it. Like, nobody's really, unless you're deep in the AI space and you're watching people build these custom apps with like connecting tools. You don't see a lot of like wide application of it because it's just so hard to use at the moment. But I think it's going to get easier.
hmm. I can see with technical stuff, to be fair. Like, if you were like, if you could connect all the APIs and you were like, can you just set me, or even if it was just built into Meta, to be honest. Like, Dylan, I met up with him earlier, and he's been using Gamma.app, which is like
Yep.
a landing page sort of building thing. And they've now,
Mm-hmm.
that looks so simple and easy to use. And they even have like an AI thing where you just ask
Mm-hmm.
the AI to build you things and it will just add it in. And so I
Yep.
can see, to be fair, if within Facebook it was like, um, hey, can you set me up a campaign called this, blah, 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 targeting this. And instead of you having to go through and click everything, boom, it's done. Hey, can you look over this and check that it's all good? And then you'd be like, here are some files. Can you upload these in different? Like, I can see that. I can also see, like, with the plumbing thing, if a plumber could take a photo of a problem and that potentially fix it, like that maybe a bit. I mean, the same thing with the plumbing thing. Like, sometimes you need to do things that you can't just take a picture of, or like something. Like, you have to take something off, be like, okay, that shouldn't be there.
Mm.
That's there. Blah blah blah. You also have to have all the
Yeah.
stuff. Like, you need all the different tools. You need all the different pieces. Like, if I just don't see how you'll have a robot, sit like driving around a city or walking around a city, knocking on doors, being like, "Hey, I'm Alan the plumber. Can I come in and have a look at your toilet?" He has to navigate, so goes up the stairs, opens the bathroom, like finds the toilet, and then just starts taking things apart and putting them back together without making an absolute mess. Because the thing is, like, as soon as this thing like makes a mess or like say like creates loads of leakage of water everywhere, and like that company's probably getting sued. Like that, like I would be so surprised. I just don't see that happening in 5 years. Like, I don't even see that happening in our lifetimes, to be honest. Like,
I
assisted,
mean,
but all by. I
there's
mean,
wild
obviously,
things
time
out
will
there.
tell. Time will tell, but I
There's
would
like
be very
there's these
surprised.
military robots that look like big dogs, kind of like in a weird way, but they can navigate all terrain and solve problems and like go over any terrain and like figure it out themselves. The one of the hardest things to do, and I think that's why we haven't seen it yet, because like let's say you imagine this square box right here, right? And like here's the remote for my air conditioning. As a human, like if we're in this box, I can take the remote and move it here or like this or like this. I can move it in any position within this box. But that's really hard to replicate in a robot because we have opposable thumbs and we're able to problem solve. We can move this in any configuration we want around this cube. That's what's I've heard become difficult to program into AI because from a base level, AI can't do anything beyond its programming, right? Like that's the whole problem with being able to autonomously solve problems and just like unique dynamic situations. But I also think that we've never seen a technology that has this sort of um, rate of change to it. Like comparatively, the models that came before it are exponentially better than they were. So like if that continues, like what is ChatGPT 5 going to do? Like I think it could be really wild. And like just given like the rate of change for how fast these technologies are progressing and the capabilities that they already have, that's why I'm taking like a really out there estimate within 5 years with some of this crazy technology because of the rate of change and also because of how more efficient people can be using this tool. I think those two things combined could really add up to some wild innovations.
I agree, but I think there's also a difference between software and hardware. Like,
For sure, for sure. A lot of
in real
software
life,
problems I feel like I'm
client
speaking of.
facing client facing robots, people who figure out things like, yeah, those dogs, they can cover any terrain, but are they going to be like great client facing things? Are they going to be like really intricate with the hands? Yes, at some point, like even like the robots, like using that to do surgeries, probably. But I think with things like just being a plumber in a house, dealing with people, like dealing with all like every little house is like a slightly different like, I don't know, piece of pipe and plumbing and all this sort of thing. Like, I think that will take so much longer. Like, even if you build it, it will take so long to get implemented because it's like you're dealing with people. Like, what if it accidentally punches someone? Like, I think a good analogy is like to get 90% of the way there, okay, maybe doable, but then making the actual, like, the final 10% gets exponentially harder. Like, to go from 90 to 95 to then 97.5 to then 99% of the way and then keep going, which is once again like why self-driving cars are taking so long to happen, because like they're 90% of the way there, but to get the final percentage when nothing goes wrong when you're dealing with people, I think that takes so much longer. But I agree with ChatGPT, all these things, like in the software realm, I think this just accelerates so fast, right? Like we even see now, like the pictures are getting better, the writing is getting better, like the strategies, the knowledge they have, like everything which is like software mind-based on the computer, getting miles better. And we're obviously going to get better in using it, and it's going to get easier and easier to use. And so I think that keeps flying along. But for that to translate into like someone building your house or doing your plumbing or like fixing your fridge, I think that's a much longer way off than 5 years realistically.
Okay, yes, like I agree that I was definitely speaking more from like a software side of things because I tend to focus more on software than hardware and a lot of things that I'm interested in. However, you could just do that and take it a step back. Well, like if now the AI is so great at developing new softwares because of X, Y, and Z and all these capabilities, why can't it develop a software that makes creating the hardware easier if it gets so advanced?
Yeah, that's a good point. Um,
I'm not saying it's that easy in practice and like
yeah, I mean,
applicability. I'm not in applied science and do that stuff every day, but the concept is there. I often do that in like, you know, whenever I do a repeatable task, anytime I'll build a custom GPT for it because it's trained specifically to do that task. You know, in that light, there that is I guess that's why I think, you know, coming from that perspective that like I feel like there's going to be some wild stuff in the next couple of years.
I
I
think
think there's going to
definitely
be some
why.
things that we just didn't expect.
I
We
think
can't
even like
even think of right now.
I agree, but I still, once again, with the like in-person things, I also feel like the ROI is just not as high for someone to put that much energy into it. Like for a computer to clean your windows,
Interesting.
like it
Hmm.
doesn't cost you that much to get your windows clean, 20 quid, right? Now, for someone to write out 12 months of content in the space of 5 seconds, okay, that's pretty crazy, right? Like even me there, I just churned out 11 emails in the space of literally, I could theoretically, if I just recorded a bunch of interviews, churn out like a year's worth of emails. How much does an email copywriter cost for it? Like let's say conservatively 2 grand a month you're paying for your email copywriter, right? That's
Hmm.
24 grand worth of value in delivered in 5 seconds. Five
Okay, but
seconds.
you're thinking
Now, if
about
you
it from the commercial standpoint. Like, let's say with that same example, you're taking a window washing robot. You're right. On the individual level, it's probably not going
build,
to save as much time as it would to just do it yourself. Like, it's not going to be worth it. But if you took that same robot and went to a window washing company, that's going to save them a lot of money in time and labor and all of those sort of things. So I feel like it really matters.
not as much if you
Hmm.
think about it, because once again, the robot Claude, it's not even one aspect. It can do hundreds of other aspects apart from just being an email copywriter. But that it can deliver 24 grand's worth of value in 5 seconds. Now, if you build a robot to clean windows, how many windows can it clean in a day? It has to go from house to house. It needs to get in the car to drive around. It needs to get the hot water tap, mix the soap in, get everything in. It can't break any windows. Realistically, you're talking like maybe like a few windows an hour. You get paid 20 quid per job for a whole day's work. This poor little robot is delivering maybe like 100 quid's worth of value in a whole day. Whereas with Claude, one tiny aspect of that job just delivered, let's just say, 24 grand's worth of value in 10 seconds. Like, can you see like the difference? Like, I agree at a massive company level, if you've got a team of robots, yes, you maybe instead of having to pay like 10 quid an hour, 20 quid an hour for your window cleaner, you'll now just have to pay like 50 grand for like, I mean, let a robot realistically, like I think the time it takes for that to be profitable is so much larger and further away because the ROI is just like, it's like the knowledge realm versus like the real realm. Like it's easier to
Hmm.
just churn out loads of, like even with a ghostwriter, people are paying 5 grand a month for a ghostwriter. If you're doing 5 grand a month and you do that for a year, that's 60 grand, right? If you could get AI to do all of that ghostwriting for you within 10 seconds, 50, 60 grand's worth of value delivered in 10 seconds versus paying 50, and you're paying 20 quid a month versus paying 50 grand for a robot, which does 100 quid's worth of value an entire day. Like, That's what I mean. Like the disparity. I think money will naturally flow to the software things, and that's where we'll see most of the change. I'm sure we'll see stuff we can't even imagine, but I still feel like the in-person stuff way further than 5 years.
Yeah, I think you just bring up a good point about like, that being the difference between using software and hardware and how it's immediately scalable and leverageable, I guess, from the moment you use it, whereas hardware takes a lot more time to develop those sort of things. But I also feel like it's a non-linear progression. Like once somebody figures out something, that's like think about, ChatGPT came on the market and then all of these competitors spun up. Like you didn't hear about Claude before you heard about ChatGPT, did you?
No.
No. So like imagine one company in 5 years figures out I don't know, any sort of hardware application with a robot. I feel like from that point on, it gets way easier for anybody else to do something with it. I'm not necessarily either trying to compare like the scale of an in value of software and hardware, because for people like us, it's so much more worth it to go on the software side of things. But it's more to speak about like why I think the progression is going to be so fast and why I think it's nonlinear.
I think it's non-linear, but once again, particularly with software world.
Like
Like
you
if
just
you look
think
at even if
it's
you look at the last
hardware starting
20 years,
off slower,
like cars have hardly
or
changed, planes have hardly changed. Like there, I think ultimately a big part of it is where is the money, and it's like in
mm,
the last 20 years, it's all been like everything in the digital realm, social media, the internet, all of this stuff. It's the next big like AI lives on the internet, right? Now, I think some of
yeah,
that does translate into the real world and non-knowledge stuff, but I think like just the pure leverage of like shit that can be done in the real world versus getting something to mow your lawn or like clean your windows. Yes, there's some return there, and like we've seen this with robots now, obviously like within big factories and this sort of thing, because everything can be specifically set up. There's no like random situations. It's like move from here, do this job, blah blah blah, and so you can get at big things. But I think once again the stuff of just like little problems that are really like the little handyman jobs, like things people aren't paying a lot for. Like, oh, I need to clean, like I need a cleaner, for example. Like they try to do it with the Roomba, and that realistically is absolutely pathetic, right? Like I
did you
think the
hear about
cost
that
of
Roomba
these
story?
no,
I've been thinking about like I'm terrified that you said that because I've been thinking about this ever since I heard it. Um, I was watching a podcast that this I think it's like a history podcast. This guy just loves talking about like random history facts, and he was talking about AI, and he was telling a story about how he thinks AI could take over the world, and it's like about transmitting their info to a Roomba and then getting that info to go onto the Wi-Fi and like basically fuck up your whole life starting from
yeah,
the Roomba. And it was terrifying, like how accurate, like how possible these things seemed. And then at the end of the story, he was like, "This story was written by AI." I was like, "Holy shit!"
yeah, you can
This is
see
one of
why
the things
Elon's
where I
see
think
why Elon's
regulation is going
terrified.
to be really important.
Say that again.
This is going to be one of those things where I think regulation is going to be really important
Yeah, I wonder.
because
I
the
also wonder how much
applications of it,
developers.
like I can get around their security protocols in a couple prompts. Say that it's for a school project. You say something's for a school project, you're just trying to like practice it, you can get around like a lot of their ethical and security protocols. So it and not all people are like us. Some people really want to do harm and bad things in the world. So with the development of how smart it is, I think that there needs to be some sort of like guardrails for what you can do, because at the moment it's kind of scary to think that anybody who wanted to do real harm has the ability to figure out how to do so in a relatively easy manner. I also think on the psychology side of that, the people that do want to do real harm, probably aren't smart enough to figure it out, just because I don't see a very wide, and I have no scientific or statistical backing for this, but I just don't see a very wide connection between people that want to do really harmful things in the world and people being really smart. Like, look at
Mm.
Elon Musk. He's really smart, but he wants to help. I feel like most people who are really smart don't take that view. But point still stands. Like,
Well,
it's
I think it
scary.
depends.
You think what?
I think it depends. I don't know if there's any one way with people who are super smart, or super wealthy. I think everyone's probably got a slightly different agenda.
Yeah, and that's, obviously things are on an individual level, and I think that's how you should judge people in general, individually. But I guess it's more of like a beacon of light in my mind, like the optimism, like, oh man, like nobody who wants to, cause serious harm is going to be able to figure it out. But
Yeah,
there are a
I don't
lot
know.
of
I mean,
people
it's
out
like
there.
anything, isn't it? It's like, woo, planes are awesome, but obviously people can use planes to do bad things. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think regulation can stop that.
But I think
Um,
it's more about how accessible it is. Like, not everybody who wants to cause harm with a plane has the ability to get their hands on a plane, but
you get your
anybody
hands
can
on
get
a
their
knife.
hands on AI.
You get your hands on a knife. You can get your hands on like before knives
Actually, I got one
existed.
right here.
Like you use them in your kitchen, but you can also use them to stab people. I don't know. I think the same with like Telegram. It's like the Telegram founder being arrested because he's basically not sharing
What?
info. Yeah,
The Telegram founder got arrested?
yeah, man. This is like a few weeks ago. Telegram
What
founder
did
got
he
arrested
do?
in France. Well, I think what it was, the Israeli government wanted some information, that on probably Palestinians or something, of
I'm
what they
sure.
were sending in messages in Telegram, and he basically said, "No, I can't hand that over to you." And so then he got arrested for it because he's allowing not enough moderation and basically for illegal stuff to happen on his platform, which like is once again, it's obviously not he's just created a tool that people can use, which has a set of certain things, and obviously people are going to use that for good, people are going to use that for bad. So I think it ties into the same thing. I mean, I think with regulations, like the thing is, yeah, I mean, depends on jurisdiction, but I also feel like regulations move so slowly. Like, look how slow they are with
Yeah.
social media. Right? Like, they literally don't even understand it because half the people in those roles are so old as they are. So, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Bit of a tangent, but anyway, are you using AI at all with any of your clients? And what are you like? Are you implementing anything for them when it
Yeah.
comes to AI? And sort of what sort of stuff are you doing?
Um, as far as for them, typically we'll go into like custom GPT territory, depending on their use case. Um, and there's some things that where automation is helpful if it's like a repetitive process. But for the most part, things that I help clients with AI are like creating content strategies at scale, for specific brands, because we already have all that info. We know the schedule, of like how we're gonna post. Like, it's very easy to create the strategy for it. Um, like, and then general things like meeting summarizers, action items, incorporating that into their workspace. But as far as me using it, like, to get my work done efficiently for my clients, I think a perfect example of this is yesterday. I was I set up, so Notion has a new charts feature that we've talked about before, and I was setting up some charts to do some data tracking for their campaigns, flows, SMS, all that good stuff. And I had a hard time understanding, like, because I set up what I thought would be useful, as I do normally at first, because I don't take the role that the clients are going to know exactly what they want. I kind of show them like what I'm thinking, and then based on that, they're more able to tell me what they want. Because if you're not a systems brain sort of person, you don't know what you want. So I do that first. I go, here's what I think could be useful, and set it up. Like, let me know your thoughts. And so, okay, well, we're thinking about it'd be useful to have X, Y, and Z. I'm like, how do I, like, I know what they want. Like, I wrote it down, but how do I, how do I make this applicable to creating charts? So I just went to ChatGPT under my system. I have a systems collab GPT. So basically, I have the GPT assume three different personas on different aspects of system engineering, like systems design, system engineering, like all of these different facets of systems. and I have those personalities talk to each other in order to give me an output. So I went to that one and I was like, hey, here's some charts that I currently have set up for my clients. Like I showed it a screenshot of it. And then I said, and here's the like the feedback they gave me on it and what they want. What is the best like layout or construction of like how I should set it up to get exactly what they want? And they're like, here, this is exactly what you do. Make a group with this and do views in here with the goal for this. And I was like, perfect. Because that probably
That's
would have taken me a
that's very
while to figure out like the exact right way of how to structure things. I often use it in help of like figuring out hierarchy and structuring organization. Because when we're working with a lot of data and data types, I think the most foundational, like if people don't feel organized in your life, it's because you don't have a good structure of where things go, how things should go. So that's what I use. I use it a lot for that when I'm figuring out problems like that.
that's it. What are obviously there's a lot of little things that you can use for clients, like you said, the meeting notes, blah blah. What is the one thing where they're like, oh, this is really cool. This is actually seriously helping us out. Like, is there one thing which stands out in what the clients are using to implement? Or is it all just kind of more little things?
I think it's really dependent on the client and what they do, on what those things are that really help them. I think initially it's all of the little things being put together that
Yeah.
add up to being like this one big thing. Like, being able to efficiently map your projects and your clients and all of your documents and all of them linking together and creating great, bird's eye views of things and granular views.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I always think of this example. There was I think he was literally 15 years old. His name is Vincent. He has a ghostwriting agency, and I got on a call with him. He's doing like at the time he was doing like 7.5 a month. I was
Oh,
like
the
15
14-year-old
years
kid.
old. Yeah. Do you know
Yeah, I
him,
know.
Vincent?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. He was doing like 7.5 a month at 15. I'm like, this is really impressive. I just wanted to get on a call and chat with him. He wanted to talk about ops and whatnot, but it was just him and like somebody else that he has helping him. I didn't really want to charge some price that I knew was like not gonna work for him and not gonna work for me. So he just told me like what he was currently struggling with, a bottleneck, and that was planning out content for all of his clients. Like that takes like an hour per client or 2 hours per client per week. So I said, okay, well, I'll just build you a custom GPT, send it over, and like give me a testimonial for it, and like I'd be happy to do that for you for free. So I built this GPT in literally like 10 minutes. I just told it the context of like, hey, I have this guy. He does ghostwriting for all of his clients. His issue right now is it takes a long time to plan out the content per brand and all of these things. And the end result was he just has to go to this GPT, um, say the brand that he wants to create content for, and it'll
Mm,
immediately plan out the entire week. And I put in specifics about like how he does his content strategy, the types of content that he's using, even like the types of tweets and threads. So like now he just puts in the info of the brand and it outputs types of tweets, types of threads. Here's when you post them. And he
mm,
said that it saved him like 40 hours a week or something wild
that's
like that, or
wild.
40 hours a month.
That's very
It was
cool.
it was a significant improvement. It was just wild to think that it took me 10 minutes to do something like that, and it makes that much of an impact.
Yeah, well,
Could
like
imagine it
that's
being even better in Claude.
that's the sort of thing where I can see that exponentially getting more powerful. Because imagine, especially with say Claude, and you've got all the YouTube data, all the like, if you could scan every single YouTube video, who they're going to, the market, the view time, the click through rate, the topics, the content, and then it use all of that information to flesh out a content strategy for you for whatever your niche is and whatever thing is based on what's worked before. That I can imagine like that's just crazy non-linear. Like that can
Yeah.
only get ridiculously powerful, even to the point of probably writing some certain scripts like based off information you give it and all this sort of thing. Like, yeah, that's I mean, because also we can look at if it's got up to date information, like what is. Imagine if you had the transcripts of the best performing videos and the worst performing videos to compare them. and it knew the algorithm inside out for the whole of 2024, and then you asked it to base over content strategy of what's working recently, or like even to create like graphs of stuff. Like, man, that feels ridiculously powerful.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to use it for YouTube creation, especially when you're telling me that Claude is this good, because I think it could have some great applications for creating thumbnails, descriptions, tech or titles, and scripts and all the rest. Um, I'm really excited about that and thinking about like I don't know. I've always liked. I keep going back to it. I've always liked the YouTube world, um, and to get into it and using my skill sets and like figuring out an efficient way to make that. Cause I don't know. For me, I started on Twitter and LinkedIn versus a platform like YouTube because I felt like the barrier to entry was much higher. And I feel like we've talked about this before. But I think these AI tools make that barrier to entry less high. And it also makes the time needed for a video less substantial.
That's
And that
high.
adds up. Yeah, I know. I was like, that doesn't
I
sound
lower.
right. High, lower. I I don't know. It's a different time over there across the pond.
Yeah. What was my final thought? Okay, I have a question. What is
Okay.
Midjourney still the best for images? Because I've got to start creating some images because
Dude.
I'm making a bunch of ads, and my mentor actually he uses a lot of AI to make the ads. And so
Hmm.
yeah, what is currently best for images?
To be honest with you, I haven't used Midjourney in a while because I feel like ChatGPT has gotten a lot better at generating images, but recently I've been incredibly impressed with the images by Grok. They are
Yeah, to be fair,
they
I've
are
been
insane.
I that's the only thing I've used recently is Grok to create images.
And one thing that is specifically impressing me is that with ChatGPT and Midjourney, if you ever wanted an image to have any sort of text on it, it would always spell the text wrong. Like always. I didn't understand
Mm,
why. But I've noticed with Grok recently it doesn't. And it looks really good. Like
okay. I will play more with Grok for images in that case.
yeah, I would because I was having it do some and I think the one downside to using Grok for images is I think it has a harder time understanding what you mean. I was trying to have it
Mm,
generate a background for a thumbnail, but instead it generated like it literally looked like a screenshot of someone's desktop, like YouTube with a video playing with like people in it. And I was like, "Whoa, like this looks like a screenshot of someone's like if somebody were to send this to me, I don't know if I could tell that it wasn't a screenshot of someone's desktop." So it didn't get what I wanted, but the fact that it could create something like that, that you like, I definitely think it's one of the best image generations right now that I know of.
I just asked it to generate me an angry man in the forest, and it's fucking terrifying.
It's probably like really realistic.
It is really. It's like yeah, it's some fucking next level CGI stuff. All right. Well, we've got a lot to play with.
Terrifying.
I think there's a lot for any of the listeners if you're
There's
there to
one
play with
thing
as
the
well.
viewers want to know.
What? How's the graph,
Have you created a new lower low?
bro? I the game has failed. I have I have I have lost in the train. I what did I do over the weekend? As you know, I went camping. It was
Hmm.
brilliant, but I obviously just didn't touch my phone for like 3 days. And to be honest, with the latest deal, like I've been in a steady downtrend since. To be honest, let's have a look at my impressions. A steady downtrend, mate. It's as the trend professed. When I made my first lower low, I've been in a downtrend ever since. So that's actually not going too great. But it's also because I'm not trying for it to be great. I've got a load of client work and some exciting projects. So putting it a little bit on the back burner again.
Hmm.
And yeah, we'll see. I feel what's nice is that obviously to get it back up and running didn't take too much work. But now, to be honest, it once again just doesn't feel like that high ROI. It feels high ROI to be posting at least a few times a week, keeping people updated, because I'm still getting interesting things in from that. But putting in much more time, not the highest ROI. So actually, nothing too crazy there, to be honest. Basically, everything that's going on in my life right now is just ads, all ads. I launched an ad set last night, and I woke up with a sale immediately. Oh, no better feeling. 7x
No better
ROAS.
feeling.
40 quid spent. What's 7 times 40?
280.
280 quid back in one night. Now, obviously, that's
amazing.
It's a matter of making that consistent. But yeah,
right.
It's my life is just ads right now, and so I'm gonna keep posting. But yeah, not going heavy on it.
One update that I don't know if I talked about last time, but something that I said I was gonna do was move all of my like links on my YouTube to like actual capture pages and setting up the automations for that. And like it was honestly pretty simple. I was able to figure it out in like 2 hours. I just like sat down and did it one night. Got it done in like 2 hours, and now I have them all set up. And since that, I've been gaining around I want to say like 4 to 10 subscribers a day. So in the last 7 days, I've gained like 30.
Like stuff on your posts, you mean?
Yeah, I mean email subscribers.
Yeah.
Not YouTube subscribers.
Oh,
yeah, I've been gaining around 3 to...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have about 3 to 10 subscribers a day, which is pretty good.
It's flipping awesome, my bro.
Yeah, and that's like if I do nothing. Like I do no social, like that's what's so great about YouTube. Like I could only get 3 to 10 subscribers a day if I were, and I didn't post on YouTube.
Hey,
if I was posting on X. What?
Brother, there's something you need to be doing with your posts. You want the main CTA above the fold. If you want to know what I'm on about, go look at all of Hormozy's YouTube videos, and they all have the CTA to the link above the show more button, and then the descriptions underneath, so that your CTA doesn't get lost in everything else.
I see. Yeah, you're right. I should put that.
Otherwise,
I should put that at the top. That's gonna make it easier to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should put that at the top.
But other than that, fucking love to hear it, man. That is seriously, seriously cool.
Yeah, and I'm gonna build I'm gonna create a new YouTube video today and this weekend, because it's a little bit more of a better video, so to speak, longer. So we'll see how that goes. We'll be updating you guys next time on that, but I'm excited about it, especially in using Claude and everything we talked about today.
Yeah, fucking sick, man. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting. Hope there's some useful things in there for you, the listener, and we shall see you next week.
Yes, we shall. Please rate 5 stars, subscribe, share with a friend, grandma, uncle, fish, whatever. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yo, it's time to build leverage, stack up your advantage. Life and business time to manage, never stay stranded. Start with the vision, mission, plan of attack. Keep your eyes on the prize, no looking back.